Welcome back to Pedal and Ash. I'm your learner Glithy, and welcome to another yapping video. So, this time we're going to do a two-topic video. First is a glimpse of my particle nightmares, and the other is dealing with lists. First, particles are a topic I've been trying to refine, but to be honest, I plow through with the grace of a bull in a china shop. And yeah, I bet you're probably thinking of wa and ga and already are annoyed, but to be honest, I'm over it. I mean it. I just try to vibe with wa and ga because there are really three choices: wa, ga, and omit. And I don't worry terribly much about being wrong anymore. I worry more about if I've transmitted my ideas to the listener. This is probably not to be recommended, but I have to speak Japanese now, and I can't stand there for 20 minutes trying to decide which one to use anymore. So, wa and ga, I feel comfortable with. No, today I want to talk about other particles. I have plenty of things about particles, to be honest. So, right, there are my textbooks. I even have Tofugu's Particles in Action book, which I mostly use as a reference. And there are many ways to learn particles in isolation, but I don't recommend that, mostly because it might drive you mad. So, as you may or may not remember, this is an accountability channel for mainly my Japanese study. And while last week was my current grammar roadblocks, today we're going to look at my particle woes, specifically ni, de, and a, the directions. This set is a bit harder for me to figure out the vibe, but I'm getting there. The main problem is that there are three particles all around the idea of at, to, and in. So let's dive into them. Basically, we're going to start with ni. I have to remind myself that ni needs a direction. So, for example, Nihon ni iku, I go to Japan. As I learned many, many moons ago, this is a destination. And honestly, it's my default, which is safe and steady, but right, there's more. A is simple, or similar, sorry. For example, Omise e iku, I go to the store. Now, there are probably some things you've learned about A, such as it's more about the direction and that it can be translated as towards. But recently, I was talking with a Japanese teacher, and they said that A is a bit more formal, which I'd never heard before. But safe to say, it's a piece of grammar that's good to know, but maybe not an everyday staple. So for now, it's just a thing that we all know, but maybe we don't use as much. But this is supposed to be about my actual woes, so let's focus on what I'm having trouble with, which is ni versus de, and why I feel so damn clumsy with it. So, back to ni. It has many usages, such as to, so where, who, so yeah, directions, but also at, in. But right now we're focused on where it overlaps with de. So, for example, ima doko ni iru no? Where are you right now? So, nice and easy. Which brings me back to de. De goes with action verbs for the most part, but it still becomes at, in, on, which just feels too similar to ni, even though it's not that close. So think restaurant de taberu. I eat at a restaurant. So what I'm getting at is you probably wouldn't say restaurant ni taberu. Simple, right? The occasional confusion won't get you any super weird looks, to be honest. I've made a few mistakes in my early days in Japan, and the native just glosses over because they understood me. But I'm trying to be a good learner and improve. So now, of course, I have new problems. So let's get into the weeds and talk about these new problems. Exceptions. Now I'm going to give some examples, and if they make sense to you, well, you're doing better than me. Koen de hashiru. I run in the park versus benchi ni suru. I sit on a bench. Easy, right? Remove the particles, and I guarantee that I will mix them up. It's just who I am as a person right now. Or, let's look at something else. Basu ni noru. I get on the bus versus basu o oriru. I get off the bus. Okay. I cheated. That's a totally different situation. But you can still feel my frustration, right? Suddenly we have o instead of ni or de. Also, living is one that gets me. Tokyo ni sundeimasu. I live in Tokyo versus Tokyo de hataraite imasu. I work in Tokyo. Hopefully, you get my drift on how it's easy to mix up even if the actual idea isn't too terribly hard. Mostly, this is just going to come down to two things. One is your ability to memorize these ideas, and the other is sincerely just using them so much that you just do it, or as I like to call it, vibe with it. I want to emphasize again that these are mostly tiny mistakes, and you should just be okay with making them. A native speaker won't correct you in most cases because they will understand, and that's why I'm working on them in my studies. So, once again, these are exceptions. So, right? Koen de hashiru, I run in the park. Benchi ni suru, I sit on a bench. Basu ni noru, I get on the bus. Basu o oriru, I get off the bus. Tokyo ni sundeimasu, I live in Tokyo. Tokyo de hataraiteimasu, I work in Tokyo. Let's try that one again. Tokyo de hataraiteimasu. Ooh, my Japanese. Maybe I'm a good speaker, maybe not. So, that's all I want to do on particles for today. Now, I want to do one more woe is me, and that is and. Or more accurately, shi and toka. These two just don't hit right with me, like, ever. I constantly second guess myself, even though I should know them pretty well. So first, I should probably introduce and in its entirety. So, there are 4 ways to say and. Well, at least in the situation that I'm talking about. So the 4 are to, ya, toka, and shi. So first, let's look at to. This one is pretty easy, and you could look at it as a set thing. Kohi to keiki o kaimashita. I bought coffee and cake. And that's all I bought. Finished. Kohi to keiki o kaimashita. Nice and easy. Ya. Kaban no naka de pen ya hon ga arimasu. In my bag, there are things like pens and books, so an incomplete list of items, but like a sample. Yeah, a sample list. So let's look at it again. Kaban no naka de pen ya hon ga arimasu, right? In my bag, there are things like pens and books. Next, let's take a look at shi. Ama ga furu shi, hinzutsu ga aru shi, benkyou shitaku nai. It's raining. I have a migraine, and I don't want to study. So she seems like it could be your list of whatever, and feels like it should be your default. But no, you use it to stack reasons. So let's take a little bit of a different look, right? Ame ga furushi. Okay, it's raining. And hinzutsu ga aru shi. I have a migraine. Benkyou shitaku nai. I don't want to study. So, right, the reasons I don't want to study is it's raining and I have a migraine. So, once again, not too bad. But right, there's reasons for why I don't want to study. So then, let's head to toka. Pan toka tamago o tabemashita. I ate bread and an egg, and maybe more. So the vibe here is I did this among other things. It's a natural and casual way to make a list and kind of vibe with it, right? And honestly, probably should be your default for making most types of lists. Like I had this, and maybe something else. I used a very simple one, right? Pan toka tamago o tabemashita. Just I ate bread and an egg. You could probably do a little bit more with your list. So, in the end, I tried to remember listing nouns and complete, to. Listing nouns and vibing, toka. Giving reasons or facts, shi. Which means I rarely think about ya, and that's okay. But for completion's sake, ya is an incomplete list. Confused? I hope not, because that's the best I've got for now. Because for the life of me, I've got to work to get it right at my flashcards. In the real world, I've probably gotten some weird looks, but mostly have used them correctly. Now, for due diligence, there is one more way to say and that is important to remember, and that is tari. But that is for using verbs, so it's easy to not get confused in the list of other ands. So, let me know in the comments about your particle and woes. But before we go, the last thing I'm around this video off with is a brief update, so I'm not sure what next week's video is going to be. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I haven't been studying at home. So the different pace of cafe study has been super fun, even if it means no study with me videos. But to be honest, I think I like discussing and ranting about what I'm learning more. As for my actual studies, I had a massive migraine that waylaid me for a few days, but I'm still on track to finish Quartet 2 by the end of the month. Oh, and that is also why this video was released a bit late for those who might check for updates. To be honest, this round of Quartet Grammar didn't feel as what the TFery or other grammar I've encountered, which is why I didn't make a video about it. But I imagine that in the next chapters, I'll have plenty to rant about. Or maybe I just haven't found the part of this chapter that's felt uncomfortable yet. We'll see in the next video. So, I guess expect to see more videos like the WTF series and this. I also consider deep diving into various things I'm studying, which would require me to speak more Japanese, but that's probably good for me. So, if you stuck this far with me, let me know if you want more videos like this or the WTF Grammar video. Also, like and subscribe to see more.